Welcome back, everybody. As the blazing heat continues here in the coastal bend, it's important to be cautious. It can lead to some health issues like heat rashes. And joining me right now, Dr. Matthew McClure, Emergency Medicine, Medical Director of Emergency Services at Corpus Christi Medical Center and ER 24/7 Rockport. Doctor, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Heat rashes, let's talk about this. What are we talking about in the first place?
So a lot of times heat rashes develop when somebody's exposed to high temperatures, high humidity. We see it more often in kids a lot of times just from underdeveloped sweat glands. But in adults a lot of times we'll see it in armpits, groin, areas of high constriction from clothing where clothing rests tighter on the body.
So most at risk are kids?
Kids generally are most at risk.
Yeah.
That's why we encourage parents to be diligent about a plan for heat safety and limiting exposure. But adults will see it too, and that's usually when they show up to the ER, to the doctor's office, when they have an unexplained rash in one of these locations.
You mentioned avoid the heat and so on. What are other ways that we could prevent heat rash?
So a big one down here for us is like loose-fitting clothing, breathable materials, things like that, and then limiting the exposure. So having a plan that you know that you're going to be able to get to some shade, you know where air conditioning is, and just limiting exposure. The humidity is what we battle with down here a lot of times because humidity makes it difficult for us to regulate our body temperature.
Humidity regulating the body temperature. Let's talk about heat rashes going away. Do they easily go away, or does that come with time?
So generally, and that's one thing we want people to look for, is that they should resolve within about 24 hours, especially once you've removed yourself from that environment. So if you've gotten into some air conditioning, you've gotten out of the sun, we expect that rash to get better. If it doesn't get better in a day or two, then we would want you to be evaluated by your doctor.
Let's touch on that, because are heat rashes more of a sign of some more severe things to come, perhaps?
Not necessarily more severe things to come from a rash standpoint, but if they don't go away or they get secondarily infected, then we can be dealing with other problems besides just a simple heat rash.
Absolutely. We've got about a minute left. When do you need to seek medical attention the most when it comes to a heat rash?
I would say if it doesn't go away within about 24 to 48 hours of the exposure. Sometimes when you develop a heat rash, they have little clear vesicles that are just like sweat that's trapped in there. If those turn white and look pustular, I would also say you should probably seek help.
And what kind of treatment?
There's not a lot of treatment for the simple one. Just remove yourself from the environment. Now, if they become secondarily infected or it's something more than just a heat rash, we would have to decide, based on what it is that we think is going on.
All right, Dr. McClure, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Very important topic for sure, no doubt.